Jesus is just finishing of teaching parables. It's becoming evening time, and Jesus says to the disciples that he wants to go to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. And when you think of the Sea of Galilee, it's really not this huge thing. They can see over to the other side, and Jesus says, I want to go over there. I imagine the disciples are kind of asking, why would we want to go over there? But he's the teacher, he's the rabbi, so let's go ahead and listen to him, and they hop on the boat. All of a sudden, this storm is coming. And in the scriptures, this can be translated a couple different ways. The most common is storm or squall. But if you look at the Greek word, it can also be mentioned as a cyclone or hurricane. In the wet season of this time in Israel, there would be hurricanes or cyclones that would come off of the Mediterranean Sea and hit the northern country of Israel, which includes the Sea of Galilee. The waves can just become enormous and capsize any vessel. All of a sudden, they are surrounded by darkness, this huge storm with these huge winds and waves. Many of the fishermen probably thought to themselves, I've seen what happens to boats before. They don't come back. Meanwhile, Jesus is over there sleeping, somehow, with water coming over the sides of the boat. The disciples wake him up and say, Teacher, are you not concerned that we're going to perish? And instead, Jesus just decides to say, Peace, be still. And in that moment, everything stops, and the waves of this sea become calm. Well, they end up on the other side of the Sea of Galilee. This is no longer the territory of Israel. This is the territory of the Gentiles. All of the disciples must have been wondering to themselves, why are we here? The Gentiles don't listen to rabbinic teaching. Why has Jesus brought us through this storm that almost killed us to this one specific spot? And they pull up to this part of the coast, and you see tombs alongside of the hills that are there. They see these tombs, and there's a man that comes running out. Turns out he had a lot of impure spirits that were within him. This spirit was called Legion, for they were many. As he comes up to Jesus, he asks Jesus to essentially to have pity on them. That's so interesting to see this person, this demoniac who can break out of iron chains and cannot be restrained, to basically come and bow before Jesus. In that moment, Jesus once again commands these impure spirits to come out of him. They ask permission to go into the pigs that are on the hillside because they don't want to go out of the man and essentially die. They want to go into something else. So they go into these pigs, but then the pigs, 2,000 in number, hurl themselves off the cliffside into the sea and basically kill themselves. And it's just incredible to see how Jesus still has the utmost power over these impure spirits that basically ruled this man's life, and everybody in the area was terrified of him for this reason. Essentially, they see something in him that the disciples do not yet see. And we now know that's because Jesus was the Son of God. The disciples still thought that Jesus was just a rabbi, a teacher. They've just seen him basically dissipate a hurricane with his words. And now they see him set free this man that was so powerful that he could rip out of anything that tried to hold him down. Yet they're here looking at him wondering, who is this guy? That's also what the people of the territory thought too. They're terrified of what Jesus can do. They're afraid, as it says in Scripture. And essentially they kick him out. They don't want him there anymore. I mean, really, when you look at Scripture, you see these two stories that seem distinct from one another. But we see in 4:35, they go across the sea. They encounter this storm. Starting in chapter 5, there's this demoniac that's here. Jesus essentially heals him and drives out the impure spirits that are there. But he's kicked out and then goes back to the other side of the sea. If you were to look at this from the disciples' perspective, they would wonder, did we just come here for this one guy, a Gentile of all people? In Jesus' perspective, yeah, that's exactly why we came over here. And one of the most interesting things about this part of Scripture too is this demoniac is also probably a Gentile because he lives over in this area. And he begs to go with Jesus on the boat. He begs to go with him. And who wouldn't? He was ostracized from his whole family, friends, everybody in the area because of the demons inside him. And yet Jesus says, Go and share what the Lord has done for you, the mercy that he's shown to you with the people in this area. He commissions the first Gentile missionary in recorded history. This was his first interaction with the Gentiles. This is his first sending of a Gentile to proclaim what the Lord has done for him. That very well might have been the only thing that he did when he was over there, but yet it was worth crossing the sea in the midst of a cyclone. But yet, because he was God, he obviously knew a lot more than we did. There can be some things that just seem nuts, that seem like an unnecessary risk. Cross a 13-mile sea in a sailboat that's holding 15 other dudes on a 15-foot boat for this one guy that was a Gentile. And yet, it was this one guy that then, as it says in Scripture, spread throughout the Decapolis, the 10 cities that were there on the Gentile side of things, to proclaim the news of the Lord and to proclaim what Jesus did for him there in that moment. What Jesus did with this storm and this man is nothing short of miraculous.